This is not a show about how to do a foiling tack. I don't know how to do a foiling tack, and although I've heard that it has been done before, based on my experience with the boat and what I think has to happen during a tack, I can't for the life of me conceive on how one might do it. Now, as you watch this video, you'll understand what I mean when I say that. If you know how to do a foiling tack on the UFO, call me. Don't keep it a secret. Show me, give me a call, I want to hear. In previous podcasts, I've talked about tacking the UFO in displacement mode. And more specifically, I've talked about the techniques for performing the Heisman. What I'm talking about today is starting a tack while on foils, going around the corner, keeping up enough speed, touching down on the water, shifting your weight to the other side, accelerating back up to foiling speed without the need for doing a Heisman or backing down in any form or fashion. If I can do that for a tack, I consider it a win. And to be truthful, I don't win every time. If I'm on my game and I'm foiling 2 to 3 times a week or 1 to 2 times a week, and I've been doing it for a few weeks, and I'm on my game, I'm probably successfully tacking about 85 to 90% of the time. If I'm rusty, that number is closer to 50%. The point of that is that this is hard. It's a tricky maneuver to pull off. The good news is if you ever thought you were going to be bored with your UFO, congratulations, you now have a skill that's going to keep you occupied for the next 2 or 3 years. Now that I've highlighted my lack of mastery of this particular skill, I will say that I think I've got a couple of tips that can help you get started in perfecting your tacking techniques. In my opinion, there are 2 major components to keep in mind when you're trying to pull off a successful tack. First is center of mass placement, and second is attitude of the boat, particularly angle of bank. When you're foiling in steady state, your center of mass is on the outer edge of the windward hull laterally and somewhere between the main foil and rudder foil fore and aft, depending on the conditions and the trims that you have set for your main foil and rudder foil. So in terms of center of mass placement, you need to move your center of mass inboard to counteract the loss of heeling moment, and you need to move it forward so that the main foil now carries more of the burden of hauling around your fat ass. Can I say that? I can't say. Sorry. Now the shift of your center of mass forward has to happen before that stern collapses. There's nothing you can do after the stern collapses to get the stern to refly again in the middle of the tack. It's just over. If this is the one thing that you can do for your tacks, it's going to greatly improve your chances for getting around the corner because you're going to prolong when those hulls touch down and hopefully maintain enough speed that you've got some momentum going around and you're not going to have to back down. Now this brings me to the second major component of the tack, and that is attitude, or more specifically, the angle of bank. And this is the tricky part. Now in prolonging touchdown, this is most important for the outside hull. In my experience, if the outside hull in a turn touches down on the water and you're not through the eye of the wind yet, you're done. You're probably not gonna make it. Even with the inside hull touching down, if you can keep the outside hull off the water, there's a chance you're gonna make it. So if you're gonna err to one direction or the other, it's okay to have the inside hull touch down. Now, even when I just absolutely fong away the angle of bank and I allow the inside hull just to drive into the water and it actually goes underwater, it actually carves its way around through the eye of the wind and it'll pop up like a bar of soap on the opposite tack. Now, it ain't pretty, but it works. And it goes to highlight the point that I'm making, that if you're gonna touch down on the inner hull and keep that outer hull out of the water as long as possible. Now, as you know already, the main control for controlling angle of bank while you're foiling is, of course, the main sheet. As you turn in for a tack, the effect of the main sheet diminishes to 0, and then the main force of controlling angle of bank, believe it or not, is the rate of turn. Now, imagine balancing a broomstick on your fingertips, and if you just do an abrupt turn to the left or right, the bottom of the broomstick goes with your hand, but the top of it gets left behind and you got to come back to catch it to keep it from tipping over. Same thing is happening with the rig on the UFO. So if you just throw the rudder over, yeah, the bottom of the mast is going to come with the boat, but the top of the mast gets left behind, and it's going to contribute to pushing that outboard hull back down to the water, which is what we don't want to have happen. So typically what I try to set up when I'm going into attack is to have about a 5 or 10 degree heel into the inside of the turn or to windward, so that I can start cashing in some of that velocity to get around the corner as quickly as I can, while again keeping both hulls out of the water for as long as I can. This is tricky because you need to go fast to get around the corner, but the faster you go, the more speed you bleed. So this is really the toughest part of this, and it's really a balancing act. Now, once you get around the corner, my expectation are that both hulls eventually are going to touch down, but the objective here is just to have enough velocity that you keep flow over the rudder. And now it's just a matter of shifting your weight to the other side of the boat, getting set up for the optimal foiling attitude, building speed, taking off, and reestablishing your foiling state. This is where I really have some problems understanding how you might do this while staying on foils, because in between you and that outer edge of the windward hull, you've got a mainsail and you've got a main sheet that's hindering your way. So the amount of acrobatics that one might need to negotiate getting yourself across to the other side while also steering and maintaining balance, and keeping the hulls off the water, I don't see how I personally can do it. I'd love to know how to do it, but that's why I'm just happy getting to the other side with enough speed that I can start foiling again quickly. So to be clear, this is hard. This is a very brief window of time for you to practice perhaps some counterintuitive skills in terms of moving your body and steering, that if you mess up, it's over. And it's not like you can just step back up and try it again. So your opportunities for practicing this are brief, they're fleeting, which makes this a skill that's going to take some time and a lot of practice for you to improve upon. So the next time that you're out there, focus first on just getting your weight forward and inboard as you're going into the tack. That alone is going to help a lot. Then it's going to be hard, but then over subsequent tacks, experiment with the rudder input, slowing the rate of turn, balancing that rig over the boat as you're rounding the corner there. That's about all I can tell you, but I think it's going to help. So that's all I've got for today. Hopefully this helps. If I missed anything or if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on the Sailing Anarchy website. There's a private chat feature there that we can exchange contact information. Also, by the way, there are a lot of guys on the UFO forum on Sailing Anarchy that have loads more experience than I do with this boat. So it's just a great resource for all kinds of knowledge pertaining to the UFO. That's it for today. Good luck. See you out on the water.